Hi everyone and welcome to my blog. This is the second time I've done it because I've just tried doing it and got to the end of it and it hadn't recorded. So take two. This is my blog, vlog, video blog, whatever you want to call it, it is it. I'll be doing it probably a few times a month. Once a month I'll be doing this question and answer session type thing, which I hope you find useful. So please email in your questions on Facebook, email, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, everything. Just email me them when I ask for them and I'll try and answer as many questions as I possibly can. I've had to be quite selective about how many I do because it would have just gone on forever and you'd got really bored. So I think I've got down to 15 for this month, which is the first one. So yeah. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you find it informative. And as well as doing the question and answer sessions once a month, I'll also be doing gig rundowns, rig rundowns, as well as gig rundowns, and technique videos, equipment reviews on new equipment, old equipment, equipment that I've never used before, equipment that I do use, and explanations as to how things work, how to do certain things, how some studio things work if you want me to cover studio stuff. And yeah, I just hope that I can help a little bit and you enjoy watching it. I'll try not to be too daft and ditzy. So, this is a bit grainy as well because I did do it on a camera and the camera recorded 1 minute 30 and switched off, which I found out at the end of the blog, and which was very frustrating. So this is now done on my computer webcam thing, so it's not perfect and I'm very sorry about the quality of it. It's not what I wanted, but it's what I've got. And this will all change next month when I get a new camera, fingers crossed, and so I better start saving up. So, yes, last grainy video. On to the questions. So, a lot of people have asked me on Facebook and only one on Twitter, so you need to get twittering, tweeters, onto Facebook. So, I'll try not to look at the screen too much when I read the questions, but I'm really forgetful, so I'll try not to. Okay. Anthony Stamp has asked, who is, by the way, he's a fantastic photographer. If anybody's looking for photography, he's brilliant, based up in the Northeast. He's wonderful. And he's a good friend too. And he has got pictures in my calendar. And we like him very much. So he asked me, when can I get hold of the new album? I think I have to answer this one first of all, because everybody's asking it. So I'll answer it. Hopefully, we're on track for September. For the official album release, it'll be September. And for the single, hopefully there will be one in May. So it's getting very exciting. The album's done. I'm so proud of it and I can't wait for you all to hear it. And yeah, I just hope you enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying it. Next question from Martin Lewis. Who has influenced me as a guitarist and what sort of music do I like? This comes into a question later on as well, that somebody asked me what's on my iPod and does it influence me? And yes, it does. There's so many amazing musicians out there and you just have to look for them. And for me, influences at the moment is probably Stephen Wilson because he's just amazing. As a musician, a producer, everything, he's just incredible. So check him out, he's brilliant. And his guitarist is probably the best guitarist in the world right now, Guthrie Govan. It doesn't get any better. He's just phenomenal. So probably that's the thing that's influencing me the most at the moment and what's on my iPod, which was a later question, which is also about Spotify, but I'll get to that anyway. What sort of music do I like? I like everything. I think it's so important as a musician and as a person to listen to everything that you can and absorb it and try and take on as much as you can of it and just let it influence you, soak it in. It might be rubbish, but you've learned from it. So just listen to everything. I'm going to have to read this one because I cannot remember this. It's a long one. John Gardner asks, you went through quite an academic route into music, didn't you? My son is 15, is a pretty good drummer and wants to have a career in music. He's keen to go to music college in Gateshead, but I wondered how important or useful you found doing music formally, i.e. through college, degree course, as opposed to just getting a band and learning by playing and practicing. Would you still recommend budding musicians to go through college or similar routes to the ones you did? And the answer is yes, I would encourage it. I know people go, oh, you don't need the formal training and you don't need to learn this and you can play by ear and I never read music and all this sort of stuff. But it helps. And if you can do something and you can back it up and say, well, you know, this is what I do and I know it and I understand it, then you're going to get heard a bit better, for one. And for two, it's so important if you're going to do a craft to know it inside out. And That includes reading music, which is really boring and it does look like spider poo on paper, but it's important and you have to do it. And just knowing things like modes and how harmony works with certain melody and how to construct arrangements and string arrangements and stuff. I did it at college and I thought I'll never use that. I'll never have to know about cyclic harmony. But you do. I've used it in the studio in the last few months, just working on like cello parts and things. And it's like, if I didn't have that knowledge, then I wouldn't really be able to do it. So yeah, it is important and I would encourage him 1,000,000%. So please go to college, do it, get educated. Okay, next question. John Atkinson asks, do you play any other musical instruments? And I kind of do. I can play chopsticks really badly on piano. And I can play the Rugrats theme tune, but that's also really bad. I am trying to learn piano though, so hopefully that will happen pretty soon and I'll be able to get the hang of it, because at the moment it's terrible. Bass, I can play bass. Bass is fun, it's less strings to worry about. Same with tenor guitar, it's a lot easier than 6 strings to only have 4. I like playing mandolin as well, that's good fun. Singing, obviously, guitar, obviously. Really bad at drums, like really bad. My legs don't do what my hands do and I get tangled and confused and fall over and it's terrible. It's a bit like when I dance, I cannot dance. It's just really bad idea. So yeah, not drums. But yeah, I'm trying to learn a bit of piano, but not doing very well, but I'll keep going. Mike Engel asks, any plans to go to the States? And the answer is yes, there are plans to go to the States, but it's got to be a trip that's worthwhile doing. And to do that, to make a dent on such a massive place, I reckon I have to dedicate 6 months non-stop touring to the States. And at the moment, I can't really do that. Plus, it's also viable things as regarding visas and things. So, it is on the agenda and I would love to do it, but I need to get a bit more firm plans in place. And hopefully sometime in the near future, we can come to the States of America. Next question. I'm going to have to read these ones because they're really long. Paul Hawley. Hi Chantel, which of these singer-songwriter musicians gives you... No, that's not the question. Hi Chantel, which of these as a singer-songwriter musician gives you the most satisfaction? Writing a song, recording in the studio, or performing to a live audience? And the answer is all of them in equal amounts, because I absolutely adore writing songs. It's very cathartic for me. I'm not somebody who writes with other people. I like sitting on my own, isolated, out of the way, and just writing on my own. I can't do with other people making silly decisions that don't work for me. I write and it's solitary. So I'm very, very grumpy and a bit of a hermit when it comes to writing. Recording in the studio is a completely different entity again, but I love it 1,000,000% because it's just so creative, and the whole thing of arranging instruments and layering guitar parts, doing backing vocals, working out harmony parts, it's just beautiful. I just enjoy it so much. So recording in the studio is a totally different ballgame, but I love it equally. And then performing to a live audience, obviously it's, the thing that I absolutely adore. I love it so much, and I just enjoy doing something that people enjoy watching me do, if that makes sense. And there's nothing better than, going out on stage to a packed out audience to people screaming and enjoying it. So yeah, that's obviously up there. Okay, next question. I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I'm very, very, very sorry if I cock this up. Sorry, I can't say cock this up. Very, very sorry if I get this wrong. This is from Guillaume Viten, and I'm pretty sure that I did that in a really stupid accent and hand gestures, and I probably got it wrong, so I apologise profusely. And the question was, how did I first get into playing guitar, and do I have any relatives that also are musical? And the answer is, let's blame it all on Dad, because he was the one that got me into it. He used to play from being about 18 years old, so he was always playing around the house, and I used to go and grab his guitars. He'd play Kenny the Kangaroo and I'd bounce around the lounge, which I'm not going to do an impression of. And then I started sort of stealing his guitars and detuning them and dinting them, and he then got me my own half size when I was 3, and then a 3/4 size when I was 7, and then he lent me his I think it was like a 72 Strat when I was 8 to do my grade 1. And then after that, I think I put a few more dints in it and he got me my own. So let's blame Dad. Okay. John Tinsley asks, hiya, what are your ambitions for the future and where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? 5 years' time is a really long time. I don't even know what I'm doing in 5 minutes' time, to be fair. And as long as I'm happy, that's it. I want to be happy doing whatever I'm doing, whether that's music or producing or anything, writing. I don't know where I'll be or what I'll be doing, but as long as I'm happy doing it, then that's great by me. And ambitions for the future, just that's it really, to be happy. I think the long-term and short-term goals are different to ambitions. So the short-term goals obviously is get the album out, promoted on radio, TV, that sort of thing, the publicity side of it, tour it, enjoy the tour, going to Europe again at the end of the year, which I can't wait for. And then a bit further into next year, I've already started writing and planning ideas and things for the next album. So hopefully that'll be recorded next year and released. And yeah, so short-term and long-term goals. Tom Byers has asked about Daydream. He's asked, he was pleasantly surprised when looking at the video clips on YouTube of Daydream and amazed at how each guitar solo sounds so unique. Is that a spur of the moment thing or is it planned well in advance? It is completely spur of the moment. It depends completely on the mood that we're in that night, how the band's interacting with each other, how the audience is reacting, songs that we've listened to on the way there to the gig, everything, because it's completely improvised. So it's totally influenced by anything that goes on, which I think is a really special thing because, you know, you can play things the same every night and it just gets stale. And I like to keep it really fresh. So a lot of the solos that we do are all improvised and they're different every time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if it's, you know, generally 99% working, then that's brilliant. The 1% it doesn't work, you kind of panic and then it's fun getting out of the bad situation. But, you know, I just like pushing boundaries. So to me, Daydream is a pushing boundary song. And yeah, it's all improvised. Ronnie McGee asks, does the new album rock? I think it does. It's a lot heavier, a lot more raw, and the subjects are a lot darker. So I would say yes, it rocks. I hope it rocks. I hope everybody else thinks it rocks, but I think it rocks. Paul Fleming asks, I was wondering if you prefer the sound of valve amps or solid state amps. Without a doubt, a million zillion trillion% valve amps. The answer will always be valve amps because they're just so warm sounding and thick sounding and beautiful, and you cannot really replicate them. You can get close with things, but they're never quite the same. So I was always go with valve, whether you're in the studio. I mean, bits of my album were not done on amps in the studio, but they're only the tiny little overdubby bits, not the main bits. All the main bits we dual mic'd amps. So I had 2 amps going on, couple of mics in front of them. I think we had a DI going through as well to get the clean feed. And yeah, it's all about valve amps. Sorry. Okay, Philip Williams has asked quite a few questions actually. I think there's like 4 questions in this. And they're all very techy as well. What makes me choose my Strat over my Spangly guitar? So the Spangly guitar is a Music Man John Petrucci model. It's the JP6 in spangly white. I don't think that's the official name for it, but that's what I call it, spangly white. And it's just amazing to play. It's small. My hands are really tiny, so that's probably making them bigger. But yeah, I have tiny hands, so it's got such a thin neck, and the action's really low on it as well. We make sure the action's low on everything that I play because it's really easy to play. And it's just lovely and it's light. It's really light to play and it's nice. I feel at home with it. So I use the Music Man for the majority of everything. And then the Strat gets used because it's actually a bit of a Frankenstein guitar in that it was a Strat Plus Deluxe when I was about 12. It was probably that before I was 12 too, but I got it when I was 12. And then Dad sort of did a bit of a monster job on it and changed the lace sensor pickups to Jeff Beck Jr., a hot rails and a little 59, which are Seymour Duncan stacked pickups, stacked humbuckers. And then he coil tapped it split series and parallel. So it really, really drives. It's so grungy and dark sounding. So I tend to use that for the more heavy, dark songs, and also drop D because it just goes so nicely into drop D and sounds so big. So yeah, for all the drop D stuff and the big heavy dark doom songs, then that's the Strat. His next question was, is my new Koa guitar totally different from my Ovation or Takamine? Completely different, and I've still not quite got to grips with it yet. I love it, I really love it, don't get me wrong, but it's still wearing in, and the strings are still wearing in, so it's still a bit sparkly and a bit bright, and I'm still not sure where to scoop things and notch things out sometimes, and it sounds amazing, and by the time we get to the gigs it always sounds amazing, but sometimes I'm just like, is this working? But it does, it's beautiful. So yeah, it sounds very different. It's a lot more of an organic sound, I'd say, as well, to the Ovation, which I think is down to like the actual woods, because the Ovation, obviously it's got the plastic stuff on it. So yeah, it's a lovely guitar, and it's very small as well. It's the Taylor Koa GS Mini. I think I've got that all in the wrong order. I think it's maybe a Taylor Mini GS Koa special limited edition thing. But it's just very cool. Try one, they're very nice. And his next question was, how am I going with in-ear monitoring? I absolutely have fallen in love with in-ear monitoring. I can hear everything without it being too loud. I just now have a nice mix of the drums, bass, guitar, vocals, SPDSX, and also the click track in my ears, so everything's perfectly in time with everybody, and it just works so well. And it's nice to not have to have it loud, because I can turn it down on the wireless pack, and it's at a nice volume, so it's great. I love it. And then his last question was, does the yoga help my singing? I did it 2 days. I was meant to do 30 and it hurt and I looked ridiculous, and then I fell over and it was really embarrassing. So I only did 2 days, I have to admit, as my confession. But I am going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to start again and I will do it tomorrow. And the last question from Twitter, my one Twitter question from Graham Eggleton is, how much of what I listen to now is influencing my songs and what's the vibe? Everything that I listen to influences what I do. So when I was writing the album, I was listening to lots of things like Jeff Buckley, because I always listen to Jeff Buckley because he's amazing. Well, it was amazing. I was listening to lots of progressive music, so there's quite a bit of prog and weird things going on and time signatures. Also, I was listening to lots of things like Royal Blood, so there's a lot of heavy riff-based things and just different things, really. And I don't know, everything that I listen to influences what I play, whether it's in the live set or whether it's new songs or writing or studio work. So it changes daily. But yeah, it is very important to be influenced by so many things. Anyway, I hope you found that useful and not too waffly or ditzy or blonde or boring. And I hope you tune in again, and hopefully it'll be with my next new nice camera next time. So thank you so much, and bye-bye.